Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that is going to completely flip how you look at the world around you. We're unpacking the unbelievable, but absolutely true, story of a young waitress and a total stranger. It's a story that challenges literally everything we think we know about the people we pass by every single day. Let's explore this together, because the lesson here is incredibly profound. All right, let's just jump right in and rewind the tape a bit. I want you to picture the freezing, bustling streets of Boston. For years, there was this older guy who'd walk slowly through those streets every single morning. And honestly, most people didn't give him a second glance. They just walked right past. But here's the wild part. The seemingly invisible man wasn't just wandering around aimlessly. No, he was actually conducting this silent, high-stakes experiment on humanity itself. He was watching everyone who made the choice not to watch him. Seriously, it really makes you wonder, what actually happens when the guy everyone is actively ignoring turns out to be watching your every single move? I mean, think about how he looked to the average passerby. He wore the exact same faded gray jacket day in and day out. His shoes completely worn through, and he lugged around this backpack that honestly looked older than he was. For years, folks would walk past this old man, take one quick look at those superficial details, and instantly put him in a box, just assuming he was another homeless person on the street. Nobody knew his name. Literally nobody even bothered to ask. But you know what? Despite being completely ignored, or worse, he just sat there and smiled at every single person who walked by. And the contrast in how people treated him is just staggering. On one hand, you've got the general public. People would actively avoid making eye contact, crossing the street, looking at their phones. Some people actually laughed quietly at him as they passed. Even kids would point and ask their parents why this strange old man was smiling at everyone. But then there's a young waitress named Emma. Emma works at this little local cafe, and every morning before her shift started, she noticed him, sitting there, all alone outside. While the rest of the world looked away, Emma made the conscious choice to actually see him. So, that brings us to this massive turning point. It's a freezing, absolutely bitter winter morning, and Emma decides she's not just gonna look, she's gonna act. She walks outside with a steaming cup of hot coffee, walks right up to him and hands it over, just saying she thought he might need it. The old man took it with both hands, and his eyes just lit up. He looked right at her and said, "Most people only see what I'm wearing. You saw me." Wow. And that one little interaction, it sparked a whole daily routine. Every morning, she'd bring him coffee, maybe a sandwich, or honestly just 5 minutes of chat. And she completely brushed off the harsh judgments from the cafe's regulars, who would literally laugh and ask her why she was wasting perfectly good food on a homeless guy. Emma didn't care. She knew that kindness doesn't need anyone's approval. But even with this new daily bond, the guy remained a total mystery. Now, Emma never asked him for anything, but one day, curiosity got the better of her, and she asked him a pretty basic question. "Do you have any family?" The old man just kind of paused, looked up at the sky, and vaguely said, "I did. They're gone now." And boom, just like that, he changes the subject. He kept that painful history entirely locked away, giving her absolutely nothing else to go on. So weeks of this little routine slowly turn into months, until suddenly, it just stops. Out of nowhere. Monday morning rolls around and his bench is empty. Tuesday, still empty. By Wednesday, there's absolutely no sign of him anywhere. Emma was genuinely worried, as you would be. But you know how it goes. Days turn into weeks, the bench stays empty, and eventually, life just moves on. The old man was just gone. But hold on, because the story definitely does not end there. The mystery of where he went got blown wide open on a totally random Tuesday afternoon. Out of nowhere, this sleek black luxury car pulls up right outside the cafe. I mean, the kind of car that makes everyone stop mid-bite and stare. The door opens, and this sharply addressed attorney, a guy named David Brooks, walks straight inside, and he's looking specifically for Emma Wilson. Emma, understandably freaking out a little bit, nervously raises her hand. The attorney walks over and introduces himself, saying he represents the estate of a Mr. Henry Collins. Emma is totally lost. She tells him, "Look, I'm sorry, I don't know anyone by that name." And that is when the attorney drops a bombshell that completely silences the entire room. He reveals that the ignored old man who sat outside, the guy in the worn-out shoes, was actually Mr. Henry Collins. He explained that Mr. Collins had passed away peacefully just the month before, and he had left very, very strict legal instructions to track down the young woman who treated him like a human being. Attorney Brooks then hands a completely stunned Emma this thick envelope. Inside is a handwritten letter. And in that letter, Henry finally answers her old question about his family. He wrote, "I lost my wife and daughter in a car accident 30 years ago." He explained that after going through that kind of unspeakable nightmare, he just couldn't do it anymore. He sold his massively successful company, gave away almost all his possessions, and essentially dropped off the face of the earth to spend his remaining years quietly observing people. The letter went on, and it finally revealed what he was actually doing on that bench every single day. He wrote that he wanted to know if genuine kindness still existed in the world. He said that for years, thousands of people walked right past him. Some threw insults, most just pretended he was invisible. But then, he wrote directly to Emma, "You expected nothing. You never asked who I was, you simply cared." Emma had basically passed this ultimate silent test simply because her kindness came with absolutely zero strings attached. And then the lawyer opens up another folder for one last piece of business. And I am not kidding, gasps literally filled the cafe when the lawyer revealed the truth. Henry Collins wasn't just a grieving man on a bench. He was the wildly wealthy founder of one of the largest construction companies in all of Boston. And because Emma treated him with basic human dignity, he was leaving his entire estate to her. The total payout? $43 million. That's a 4 and a 3 with a whole lot of zeros. The room just froze. The very same customers who used to mock the old guy were now sitting there staring in absolute disbelief. But the real takeaway here isn't the money. The deepest lesson is actually captured right at the end of his letter. As her hands were literally shaking, Emma read his final words, "Money never tells you who people are. Poverty does." Let that sink in for a second. It is such a profound piece of wisdom, born from years of just sitting silently and watching how people behave when they think no one important is looking. He thanked her for proving to him that humanity wasn't totally lost. Now, armed with $43 million, Emma could have easily quit on the spot, bought an island, and walked away from the world. But she didn't. Months later, she was still doing exactly what she'd always done, helping people. She took that unbelievable inheritance and used it to actively build a massive legacy of kindness. We're talking opening homeless shelters, funding new libraries, setting up college scholarships. And she didn't do all this just because she was rich now. She did it because one lonely old man on a freezing bench reminded her that kindness is never, ever a waste of time. She proved that the smallest, simplest act of just handing someone a coffee can literally change the biggest life. So as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with a thought to chew on. Think about your daily commute tomorrow morning. Think about your local coffee shop or just the streets you walk down every day. Look around your own life and ask yourself, who are you ignoring? Because honestly, you never know. The person everyone else is walking right past, they might just be quietly watching you right now. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible story. Keep learning, keep observing, and I'll catch you in the next one.